My name is Ethan Carter. I am 32 years old. In the eyes of everyone else, I was a live-in son-in-law who survived by eating off my wife's family. That label followed me for 5 whole years. 5 years ago, I was still a graduate student in finance at the provincial university. My grades were excellent, my professor valued me highly, and my future looked bright. That was when I met Claire Whitmore. She was the beauty of the business school. Her family was in real estate, and Whitmore Group was one of the most powerful companies in the capital city. We met in the library. She dropped her library card, and I picked it up and returned it to her. One thing led to another, and we became close. Only after we started dating did I learn just how wealthy her family was. To be honest, I hesitated. I was just a poor kid from the countryside. How could I deserve a rich family's princess? But she did not care. She said she liked me, not the money in my pocket. Those 2 years of dating were the happiest days of my life. We studied together in the library, ate street food at night markets, and lay on the school field watching stars. She said we would get married after graduation. I said yes. But reality soon slapped me hard across the face. The first time I met her parents was at the Whitmore mansion in the Hillside Villa district. A 3-story detached house. Garden. Pool. A living room bigger than my entire childhood home. Claire's father, Robert Whitmore, sat on the leather sofa and looked me up and down as if examining merchandise. I heard your family is from the countryside? Yes, sir. What do your parents do? They farm. He hummed, lifted his teacup, and said nothing more. Claire's mother, Margaret Whitmore, seemed warmer. She kept putting food on my plate and asking questions. But beneath that warmth was a kind of condescending scrutiny. After dinner, Robert called me into his study. Ethan, I don't approve of you and Claire. He went straight to the point. No room left. I know you have good grades. You're talented. But you cannot give Claire the life she wants. She is young and naive right now. She thinks love matters most. When she reaches my age, she will understand how important a proper match is. I stood there, palms covered in sweat. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say I would work hard and give her happiness. But those words clogged my throat. I could not say a single one. Because I knew he was right. I was a poor student. What could I use to give his daughter happiness? On the way back that night, I broke up with Claire. She cried all night. I hurt so badly I could barely breathe. But the next morning, she ran to the building under my dormitory with swollen red eyes and said she would marry no one but me. Ethan Carter, if you dare run, I'll jump from the teaching building. That was the kind of stubborn person she was. After that, she went on a hunger strike and fought with her parents for more than a month. In the end, Robert gave in. But he gave 3 conditions. First, I had to marry into the Whitmore family, and our future children had to take the Whitmore surname. Second, after marriage, we had to live with the Whitmore family, and I had to follow the family's arrangements. Third, I had to sign a prenuptial agreement. If we divorced, I would not get a penny. When my mother heard those 3 conditions, she trembled with anger. Our family may be poor, but we cannot let them trample you like this. My father smoked the entire night. The next morning, he said to me, "Son, make your own decision." I agreed. Because I truly loved Claire. I thought that as long as 2 people loved each other, nothing else mattered. I thought I could prove myself through my actions and make them respect me. I was too naive. From the beginning, married life felt wrong. The wedding was held at a 5-star hotel owned by the Whitmore family. It cost more than $1 million. But from beginning to end, I was like a prop. When we toasted the guests, Robert took me around to meet his business partners. "This is my son-in-law, Ethan Carter. Please look after him in the future." Those people smiled and shook my hand. Their eyes were polite and distant. No one took me seriously. In their eyes, I was only a poor kid who had climbed up by marrying into wealth. The marital room was arranged on the 3rd floor of the Whitmore villa. A 20-square-meter guest room. Claire wanted to move out with me, but Margaret refused immediately. "The house is this big. Why waste money moving out?" I knew the real reason. They were afraid I would take their daughter away. At Whitmore Group, I was given an idle position as deputy manager in the marketing department. It sounded decent. In reality, I was there to run errands. I had no right to speak during meetings. No qualification to join projects. Colleagues were polite to my face, but behind my back, they called me the royal son-in-law. When those words came out of their mouths, they carried nothing but mockery. Once, I went to the break room to get water and heard two female co-workers chatting. "What ability does Ethan Carter have? He's just a little handsome. What's the use of being handsome? He still lives off his wife. I heard his family is from the countryside. His parents farm. Dirt poor. TSK. What luck. He married Claire Whitmore and saved himself 30 years of struggle." The moment they saw me enter, they fell silent. They smiled awkwardly and left. I stood there holding my cup. The water inside trembled. That feeling was worse than being slapped in the face. But when I went home, I still had to smile. Claire was good to me, in her own way. But she had been spoiled since childhood. She could not understand my situation. She felt that since she had arranged a job for me and given me a home, I should be grateful. Whenever I told her about the humiliation I suffered at the company, she said, "You're overthinking it. They don't mean it that way." Or, "You're a grown man. Stop being so sensitive." Gradually, I stopped talking. Some suffering, when spoken aloud, only makes others think you are dramatic. What I hated most were the family gatherings during holidays. The Whitmore family had many relatives. Whenever they gathered, someone always found a way to mock me. "Ethan, does your village have paved roads yet? Ethan, are your parents still farming? Should we find them easier jobs? Ethan, do you have many younger siblings? They won't all depend on you, will they?" Those words sounded like concern. But every single one stabbed into my heart. I could only smile and answer one by one. Sometimes Claire would help me out. But more often, she was laughing and chatting with cousins and barely noticed me. Margaret often spoke up for me too. "All right, stop teasing him. Ethan is thin-skinned." But her tone sounded less like she was protecting a son-in-law and more like she was defending a pitiful servant. Days passed like that. I thought if I endured, if I held on, things would eventually improve. I was wrong. Some people, the more you tolerate them, the further they push. Things began changing at the end of last year. Whitmore Group fell into a cash flow crisis. Several major projects had problems at the same time, and the banks were pressing for repayment. Robert's hair turned half white from anxiety. He lost his temper at the company every day. Claire also became anxious and often took her anger out on me. One night, she returned from overtime past midnight. I cooked her a bowl of noodles. She took one look and smashed the bowl onto the floor. "Can you have some ambition? All you know is cooking and laundry. What else can you do?" Noodles spilled everywhere. Soup splashed onto my pants. I crouched to pick up the broken porcelain pieces. A shard cut my finger, and blood flowed out. She glanced at it once, then turned and went into the bedroom. The door slammed shut. I knelt alone on the floor, picking up broken pieces one by one. At that moment, I suddenly felt very tired. Later, I learned that Whitmore Group's crisis had been caused by a man named Victor Chen. Victor was the owner of another real estate company in the capital city. Young, capable, ruthless. He had been secretly buying Whitmore Group shares and joining forces with several shareholders to swallow Whitmore Group. Robert asked countless people for help. But those so-called friends who used to call him brother all hid far away. That is how business works. Many people add flowers to a victory. Few deliver coal in a snowstorm. At that time, Margaret called me for a private talk. Claire was away on a business trip that day. Only Margaret and I were home. She called me into the living room, expression serious. "Ethan, Mom wants to discuss something with you." It was rare for her to call me by name, let alone Mom. Usually, she called me, "Hey," or "You." My heart sank. I knew it could not be anything good. "Please say it. You know the family has run into some difficulties lately," she sighed. "Your father can't sleep at night." "I know. I want to help too, but Mom knows you don't have money." She interrupted me. "But you have another way." I froze. "Do you know Victor Chen?" "No. But he knows you." Margaret stared at me. "He had someone investigate you. He knows everything." I was even more confused. "He told me that as long as you are willing to leave Claire, he can let Whitmore Group go." Those words poured over me like ice water. "Mom, what do you mean?" "My meaning is very clear." Her tone was calm. "You divorce Claire. Victor Chen stops the acquisition and injects funds to help Whitmore Group survive. That is his condition. I sat on the sofa, unable to speak for a long time. I know this is unfair to you. Margaret stood and walked to the window. But for Claire, for the Whitmore family, I hope you can agree. Don't worry. We will give you compensation. Enough for you to return home and live a good life. I looked at her back and suddenly found it laughable. So in their eyes, I was merchandise that could be discarded at any time. Does Claire know? Not yet. Margaret turned back. But I believe she will understand. After all, she has never suffered since childhood. I cannot let her suffer with you. That sentence stabbed me completely. I understand. I stood. Let me think about it. That night, I stood alone on the balcony for a long time. The winter wind was cold enough to numb my hands and feet. I looked at the lights of thousands of homes in the distance and felt like a joke. 5 years. I had poured my heart into this family. In the end, they still despised me. The next day, Claire returned. She seemed in a good mood and brought me a gift. A tie. Honey, tomorrow is Dad's birthday. We're going to Golden Palace for dinner. The whole family will be there. She held the tie against my neck. You'll wear a suit and this tie. You'll look so handsome. Looking at her happy face, I swallowed the words at the tip of my tongue. Forget it. I would not say anything yet. At least let her get through this birthday. Robert's birthday banquet was held at Golden Palace, the most prestigious Chinese restaurant in the capital city. The Whitmore family booked the top-floor Peony Hall and set up 5 tables. Those who came were Whitmore relatives, friends, and several business partners. I wore the suit Claire had bought me and the tie she gave me, trying my best to look decent. But the moment I entered, someone mocked me. Well, look at the royal son-in-law. All dressed up today, aren't we? The speaker was Claire's cousin, Brandon Ward, a typical spoiled rich playboy. He had an overly made-up woman in his arms and looked at me with contempt. You're joking, Brandon. I smiled and did not argue. Claire pulled my hand and whispered, ignore him. He's always like that. I nodded and found a seat in the corner. The dishes came one after another. The atmosphere was fairly pleasant. Robert was in a good mood that day. After drinking, color returned to his face. He chatted with old friends about his early business days, spirited and proud. Margaret busied herself greeting guests, occasionally glancing at me with complicated eyes. I knew she was waiting for my answer. Halfway through the meal, Claire took a call. Her face changed. She walked out of the private room with her phone. More than 10 minutes later, she returned with red eyes. What happened? I asked. Nothing. Company matter. She forced a smile. Dad wants to talk to you later. My heart sank. A bad feeling rose inside me. Sure enough, after most of the guests left and only Whitmore family members remained, Robert set down his glass and cleared his throat. Ethan, come here. Everyone looked at me. I walked over and stood before the table like a prisoner waiting for judgment. There is something I want to discuss with you. Robert leaned back in his chair, hands folded over his stomach. It concerns your future with Claire. Claire lowered her head and did not dare look at me. Margaret sat beside him, expressionless. The relatives all quieted down, waiting to watch the show. These years, you've treated Claire well, and you've treated this family well, Robert said slowly. I've seen it. But you have also seen that Whitmore Group is facing trouble now. As the Whitmore family's son-in-law, shouldn't you contribute? I took a deep breath and kept my voice steady. Dad, say it. As long as I can do it, I will do my best. Good. Since you said that, I won't beat around the bush. I hope you and Claire divorce. The private room fell silent. So silent I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Claire suddenly lifted her head, tears filling her eyes. Dad! You be quiet. Robert raised a hand to stop her. Your mother and I discussed this. It is for your own good. For my own good? Claire stood, her voice trembling. You want me to divorce, and that's for my own good? Claire, calm down. Margaret also stood and pressed down on her daughter's shoulder. Your father has his difficulties. What difficulties? Isn't it because of Victor Chen? Claire shook off her hand. You think I don't know? I know everything. That bastard is forcing you to drive Ethan away, and you're really going to do it? Do you even treat me like your daughter? She burst into tears. Tears streamed down her cheeks. My heart ached. I wanted to go forward and hug her. But Robert spoke first. You think I want this? His voice rose. But if the company collapses, our entire family will be ruined. You grew up in luxury and never suffered. Do you know what bankruptcy means? It means this house will be taken by the bank. Your car will be auctioned. Your luxury bags and jewelry will all be sold to pay debts. By then, you may not even be able to live like an ordinary person. Claire bit her lip, tears flowing harder. But you can't. Enough. Robert slapped the table. This matter is decided. Ethan, state your position. Everyone's gaze focused on me again. I stood there and looked at the room. Some pitied me. Some gloated. Some watched coldly. Not one treated me as family. I opened my mouth, about to speak. Suddenly, the private room door was pushed open. A waiter entered, holding a document bag. Excuse me. Which one of you is Mr. Ethan Carter? I am. A gentleman asked me to give this to you. I accepted the document bag and opened it. Inside was a contract. And a note. The note had several lines written on it. Mr. Ethan Carter, I have heard much about you. I heard the Whitmore family wants to drive you away. I think this is an opportunity. If you are willing to cooperate with me, I can let you obtain everything you want. Tomorrow, 3 in the afternoon. Peninsula Coffee. The signature was 2 words. Victor Chen. I folded the note and placed it in my pocket. Then I looked up at Robert. Dad, I agree to divorce. Claire froze. Margaret froze. Everyone froze. But I have one condition, I continued. I draft the divorce agreement. When to sign and where to sign are both up to me. Robert frowned at me, as if trying to see what trick I was playing. Fine. We'll do it your way. Then it's settled. I turned and walked out. Ethan. Claire chased me and grabbed my arm. Where are you going? Home to pack. I loosened her hand. Don't worry. I won't cling to you and refuse to leave. That's not what I meant. She cried. I don't want a divorce. I don't. Claire. I looked at the woman I had loved for 7 years. Some things are not about whether you want them or not. Your parents have already decided for you. You can resist. But can you really resist them? She opened her mouth, but could not speak. Because she knew I was right. From birth until now, she had always been the obedient daughter. She had never truly defied her parents. I left. Walking out of Golden Palace, cold wind blew against my face. I took out my phone and found a number I had not contacted in a long time. I dialed. After 5 rings, the other side answered. Hello? Who is this? It's me. Ethan Carter. The other side went silent for a few seconds. You finally decided to call me? Marcus, I need your help. Say it. Help me investigate someone. Victor Chen. Victor Chen? The real estate guy? Yes. Why are you investigating him? He wants me to help him do something. What? Bring down the Whitmore family. The other end went silent again. Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. I looked at the neon lights across the road. I just finally understand something. What? In this world, only when you are strong enough can others stop trampling you. Marcus, I want to start a business. Do you have money? No. Then what business are you starting? That's why I came to you. I have an idea. I need your technical support. Listen first. If you think it works, we do it. If not, pretend I never made this call. That night, I sat on a roadside bench for 2 hours. And I spoke with Marcus Lee for 2 hours. Marcus was my roommate in graduate school. A computer genius. After graduation, he went to Silicon Valley and worked at a top technology company for 4 years. Last year, he returned home and founded a company doing artificial intelligence. After I told him my idea, he was silent for a long time. Your idea is too bold. I know. The risk is high. I know. But if it succeeds, the return is considerable. That's why I came to you. Why do you think I'll help you? Because you are the most ambitious person I know. You came back to start a business because you wanted to do something big. Now the opportunity is in front of you. Do you dare to gamble? Marcus laughed. You little bastard. 5 years without contact, and you've become much bolder. I was forced. I said, before, I always thought it was enough to live peacefully. But now I understand. If you don't fight, others will step on you. Fine. I'll gamble with you. Marcus said, but I have one condition. Say it. After it succeeds, I want 30% equity. Deal. After hanging up, I exhaled deeply. For the first time in 5 years, I felt alive. When I returned to the Whitmore villa, it was almost midnight. The living room lights were still on. Claire sat on the sofa, eyes red and swollen from crying. On the coffee table were 2 documents. One was the divorce agreement. The other was a check. "You're back?" She looked up at me, voice hoarse. "I had someone draft the agreement. Look it over and see if anything needs changing." I walked over and picked up the agreement. The terms were very detailed. Basically, I would leave with nothing. The house belonged to her. The car belonged to her. The savings belonged to her. I wanted nothing. The compensation is $150,000. She pointed at the check. "Enough for you to return home and start a small business. $150,000. In the capital city, it would not even buy a bathroom. But to them, it was already generous. No need." I pushed the check back. "I don't want the money." "Why?" She froze. "If you don't want the money, how will you live?" "I have hands and feet. I won't starve." "Ethan, don't be stubborn." She became anxious. "I know you hate me. But this money is what you deserve." "I don't hate you." I looked into her eyes. "I just don't want to owe the Whitmore family anything anymore. These years, everything I ate, lived in, and used came from your family. Now that I'm leaving, I want to leave clean. No one owes anyone." Claire's tears fell again. "I'm sorry, Ethan. I'm really sorry. I didn't know things would become like this. I thought we could keep going forever." "I thought so too." I smiled bitterly. "Unfortunately, some roads become impossible to walk as you keep walking. What do you plan to do after this?" "I haven't decided yet. One step at a time. Maybe, you can work at my friend's company. I can talk to him." "No need." I interrupted her. "Claire, from now on, we walk our own roads. Take care of yourself." I went upstairs and packed. There was not much to pack. A few clothes and personal items. There had never been many things in that room that belonged to me. When I came downstairs, Claire was still sitting on the sofa. She watched me drag my suitcase down. Her lips moved as if she wanted to say something. In the end, she said nothing. At the door, I looked back at her. "Oh, right. There is one thing I forgot to tell you." "What?" "Victor Chen asked to meet me tomorrow." Claire's face went pale. You're meeting him?" "Yes. I want to see what he really wants." "Ethan, don't act recklessly." She stood. "That man is not simple. You can't fight him." "I know." I smiled. "But I have nothing left now. What am I afraid of? The barefoot man does not fear the one wearing shoes." I opened the door and walked out. Behind me came Claire's suppressed crying. I did not look back. After leaving the Villa district, I hailed a taxi. The driver asked, "Where to?" After thinking for a moment, I gave an address. It was an alley in the old district of the capital city. I rented a single room there. $800 a month, 3 months paid in advance. The landlady was an old woman. She thought I looked honest and did not charge a deposit. The room was tiny. 10 square meters. 1 bed. 1 desk. 1 wardrobe. The window faced the wall next door, and even during the day, the lights had to stay on. The bathroom was at the end of the hallway, shared with others. I lay on the bed and stared at the water stains on the ceiling. My mind was a mess. My phone vibrated. Marcus sent a message. "I found the information. Sent it to your email. This Victor Chen is more complicated than you imagined." I opened the email and downloaded the attachment. It was a detailed investigation report. Victor Chen, 35. Self-made. 5 years ago, he founded Horizon Realty. In just a few years, it became a dark horse in the capital city real estate industry. His methods were ruthless. His decisions decisive. Rumor said mysterious capital backed him, but no one knew who. His grudge with Robert Whitmore began 3 years ago. Back then, Whitmore Group targeted a major project, a piece of land in the eastern suburbs. Robert was determined to get it and invested heavily. But during the auction, Victor snatched it away. Since then, the two became enemies. Victor had been waiting for an opportunity to swallow Whitmore Group. Now that opportunity had come. Whitmore Group's cash chain broke. It was at its weakest. Victor was not only buying shares. He was also poaching Whitmore Group's core team. According to the investigation, 3 executives had already been poached. Robert was surrounded on all sides. No wonder he was eager to drive me away. He needed a step down. And I was that step. As long as I divorced Claire, Victor promised to let Whitmore Group go. But the question was, why would Victor do this? He spent so much effort just to make me divorce Claire. There had to be another reason. I continued reading. The final pages mentioned Victor's personal background. He was an orphan. Raised in an orphanage. At 18, he was adopted by a couple. The report did not write the couple's surname. But one piece of information caught my eye. Victor had studied at the provincial university. He was in the same year as me. He majored in economics. I majored in finance. We might have crossed paths at school, though we did not know each other. More importantly, he once pursued Claire Whitmore. Few people knew this because Claire had never mentioned it. The report said that in his second year, Victor wrote Claire a love letter. She rejected him. Not long after, Victor dropped out and disappeared. When he reappeared 5 years later, he was the owner of Horizon Realty. So that was it. I put down my phone and closed my eyes. No wonder he targeted the Whitmore family. It was because of the humiliation from being rejected back then. No wonder he wanted to drive me away. He wanted to watch Claire lose everything. Including her marriage. This man's mind was terrifyingly deep. The next afternoon at 3, I arrived at Peninsula Coffee on time. It was a cafe inside an office building. Elegant environment. Few customers. I found a seat by the window and ordered an Americano. After about 10 minutes, a man walked in. He wore a dark blue suit. Tall. Sharp features. Eyes like an eagle. He saw me immediately and walked straight over. "Mr. Carter?" "That's me. Victor Chen." He extended his hand. I shook it. His grip was strong. "I've heard much about you." "Likewise." He smiled and sat opposite me. "Would you like something?" "I already ordered." "Waiter, Blue Mountain, please." He leaned back and studied me. "You're younger than I imagined." "Really? I thought you would think I looked old." "No. You look energetic." He lifted his coffee cup. "Not like someone who has just been swept out of a wealthy family." "What did you expect me to look like?" "Defeated. Bitter. Blaming the world." He set down the cup. "But you're not. You're calm. Even composed." "That surprises me." "Nothing surprising." I said, "Some things were expected long ago. It was only a matter of time." "You're open-minded." He smiled. "Then I won't beat around the bush. I asked you here to discuss cooperation." "What cooperation?" "I know you hold a patent." My heart shook. How did he know? That patent came from my graduate research. It was a building energy-saving material. My advisor had once praised it highly, saying if the technology could be industrialized, the prospects would be limitless. After graduation, I entered Whitmore Group and had no chance to realize it. I had not even told Claire about it. How do you know? There are no walls without cracks in this world. Victor smiled. Your advisor once mentioned it to me. He said you were the most talented student he had ever taught. The value of that patent far exceeds your imagination. If you are willing to sell it to me, name your price. Sorry. I'm not selling. Oh? He raised a brow. Why? Because I want to do it myself. Do it yourself? He laughed. Do you know how much industrialization costs? At least $7.5 million just to start. Do you have that much? Not now. But that doesn't mean I won't. Ambitious. He clapped lightly. But reality is cruel. Without capital, even the best technology rots in your hands. Why not sell it to me? Take the money and do whatever you want. Isn't that good? No. I looked directly into his eyes. Mr. Chen, I know what you're planning. You want my patent, then use it against the Whitmore family. Right? Victor's smile froze. You're very smart. He was silent for a moment before speaking again. Smarter than I imagined. But have you thought about this? Even if you don't sell it to me, the Whitmore family won't appreciate you. They will still drive you away. Why destroy your future for them? I'm not doing this for them. I said, I'm doing this for myself. This patent is my hard work. I won't let it become a weapon in someone else's hand. Then what do you want to do? Victor leaned back. What can one man do? That is not something Mr. Chen needs to worry about. I stood. Thank you for the coffee. I have other matters. Wait. Victor called out. You really won't consider it again? No. Fine. I'll give you 3 months. He held up 3 fingers. 3 months from now, if you change your mind, come to me anytime. My offer will remain valid. But let me remind you. In 3 months, the Whitmore family may no longer exist. By then, don't regret it. I looked at him and smiled. Mr. Chen, let me give you a saying too. Fortunes rise and fall. Never bully a poor young man. After saying that, I turned and walked out of the cafe. Behind me came Victor's laughter. There was admiration in it. And disdain. Outside the office building, sunlight was blinding. I took out my phone and called Marcus. I finished talking to him. How did it go? He didn't convince me. I didn't convince him. What now? We proceed with the original plan. Are you sure? That's $7.5 million. I know. I have a way to solve the funding problem. What way? Find an investor. Who would invest in US? I know someone interested in new technology. But he has a condition. What condition? He wants to meet you in person. No problem. Set a time. Tomorrow night. Cloud Summit Club. Okay. See you tomorrow. After hanging up, I stood by the road and watched traffic flow by. An unprecedented impulse surged in my chest. 5 years. For the first time, I was going to live for myself. No matter the result, at least I would have tried. Back in my rental room, I began organizing materials. The technical plan for the patent. The business plan. Everything I had stayed up late preparing over the past few days. It was rough. But the framework was already there. I needed to find an investor who understood the field and explain my idea clearly. As long as someone was willing to invest, I could turn the technology into a product. Once the product entered the market, everything would open up. By then, neither the Whitmore family nor Victor Chen would matter. Of course, the premise was that I could secure that investor. The man Marcus mentioned was someone I had heard of. Gordon Price. A famous angel investor in the capital city. He specialized in early-stage projects. Sharp eye. Extremely high success rate. They said 8 out of 10 projects he invested in eventually went public. If I could win his favor, the funding problem would be solved. But why would he invest in me? I was a discarded live-in son-in-law from the Whitmore family. No background. No resources. My only advantage was the patent. But a patent, to be blunt, is only a piece of paper. Whether it could become a product, whether it could make money, both were unknown. And investors fear uncertainty the most. I had to make him believe my project was reliable. That night, I barely slept. I revised the business plan again and again until I was satisfied. The next evening, I changed into clean clothes and arrived at Cloud Summit Club half an hour early. It was the most exclusive private club in the capital city. Membership only. Ordinary people could not enter. Marcus waited at the entrance and brought me inside. Mr. Price is already inside, he said as we walked. His time is limited. He'll give you 30 minutes at most. Use it well. I know. We pushed open the private room door. 3 people sat inside. The man in the center was in his 50s, with gray hair, gold-rimmed glasses, and a refined aura. That had to be Gordon Price. To his left sat a young female assistant. To his right sat a serious middle-aged man in a suit. Mr. Price, this is Ethan Carter, the person I mentioned, Marcus introduced. Gordon looked up and studied me. Sit. I sat opposite him and handed over the materials I had prepared. Mr. Price, this is my business plan. Please take a look. He did not take it. He motioned for his assistant to accept it. I heard from Marcus that you have a patent for a building energy-saving material. Yes. What is the core advantage of this technology? Compared with traditional materials, it improves energy-saving efficiency by 40% and reduces cost by 30%. It doubles service life. And the production process is environmentally friendly, with zero pollution emissions. Gordon nodded but did not speak. His assistant quickly flipped through the business plan, occasionally writing notes. How much startup capital does this project require? First phase, $7.5 million. Mainly for production line construction and market promotion. How long until profitability? If smooth, break even within 2 years. Profitability begins within 3 years. Within 5 years, annual revenue can reach $75 million. Gordon smiled. Young man, confidence is good. But business cannot rely on confidence alone. Your project has several issues. First, the technology is advanced, but it has not been tested by the market. Second, your current team only has 2 people. Execution ability is uncertain. Third, the construction industry is weak overall right now. Whether your product can open the market remains unknown. Overall, the risk is too high. My heart turned cold. Mr. Price, I've considered all those issues. For technology, I have contacted the provincial university lab to conduct small-scale trial production. For team building, I am recruiting talent and will soon assemble a team. As for the market, I've done detailed research. The existing market is large enough. As long as our product quality is solid, sales will not be a problem. You're right. Gordon lifted his teacup and drank. But I still cannot invest in you. Why? Because you have no retreat. What do you mean? When a person is too desperate for success, he often makes wrong judgments. Your current state is like a drowning man grabbing a straw and treating it as a lifeline. That mentality is not suitable for entrepreneurship. When you are no longer so desperate, come find me again. After saying that, he stood to leave. Mr. Price. I stopped him. Give me 3 months. Within 3 months, I will produce a sample and find my first customer. If I do it, you reconsider the investment. If I fail, I will never mention this again. Gordon stopped and looked back at me. 3 months? Yes. 3 months. Fine. I'll give you 3 months. If you accomplish what you said, I will not only invest. I will add another $1.5 million. If you fail, do not come to me again. Deal. Deal. He left with his assistant. Only Marcus and I remained in the private room. You scared me to death. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. I thought he was leaving for good. He understands. I said, he knows I'm serious. What next? Find a lab. Make samples. Do you have money? No. Then how do we make them? Borrow. From who? My mother. Where would your mother have that kind of money? She does. I said, my parents saved their whole lives. It was meant for my wedding. I don't need it for that anymore. Perfect for starting a business. Are you crazy? That's your mother's retirement money. I know. I looked out the window. That's why I must succeed. If I fail, I won't have the face to go home and see her. Marcus looked at me and sighed. Fine. Since you said that, I'll gamble with you. But let me say this first. If we lose, I have no money to pay you back. You don't need to. I patted his shoulder. If we win, we eat meat together. If we lose, I carry it. Over the next days, I began running myself ragged. Labs during the day. Construction sites at night. I asked everyone I could for advice and collected data everywhere. My mother mailed me her bank book. It had $45,000. That was money she and my father had saved after farming their entire lives. Holding that bank book, my hands shook. I knew this was not money. It was their lifetime of hope. I could not fail them. A month later, the first batch of samples was produced. The test results were unexpectedly good. Energy saving efficiency was 5% higher than expected. Cost was 8% lower. Marcus and I hugged each other in excitement. With samples, the next step was finding customers. My first target was the largest construction company in the capital city, Everbuild Construction. Their project manager was a man in his 40s named Manager Warren. I pulled multiple connections before finally getting a meeting. That day, I wore my best suit and arrived downstairs at their company half an hour early. But Manager Warren had something come up and made me wait 2 hours. By the time he finally had time to see me, it was past 5 in the afternoon. His office was large and luxuriously decorated. He sat behind a wide desk, legs crossed, cigarette in his mouth. You're Ethan Carter? Yes, Manager Warren. Nice to meet you. I heard you have a new product to recommend. Yes. This is our newly developed energy-saving material. Its performance far exceeds existing products on the market. I handed him the sample and test report. He accepted them, flipped through casually, then tossed them onto the table. Good product. But we don't need it. Why? Our material can save your company a huge amount in cost. Save cost? He laughed. Young man, you don't understand the industry. In our line of work, connections matter. Do you have connections? I froze. No. Then there's nothing I can do. He spread his hands. We've worked with several suppliers for years. Stable relationships. We won't replace them for some newcomer. Unless. Unless what? Unless you can give me enough rebate. He said it directly, without the slightest attempt to hide it. How much? $5 per square meter. Your annual supply volume would be roughly 100,000 square meters. That's $500,000. 500,000 a year, and I guarantee your material enters our sites. I fell silent. I knew the industry had unspoken rules, but I had not expected them to be this blatant. Manager Warren, that price is too high. My profit margin is already low. I can't pay that much. Then nothing can be done. He stood. I have a meeting. I won't see you out. Come back when you understand the rules. Walking out of Everbuild Construction, the sky had gone dark. I stood under a street lamp and looked at the sample in my hand. A fire burned in my chest. Why? My product was clearly better. My price was lower. But because I lacked connections, I could not even enter the door. Was there any fairness in this world? My phone rang. Marcus. How did it go? Did you close it? No. Why? They want a rebate. How much? 500,000 a year. Damn. Marcus cursed. Those vampires. Forget it. This route won't work. We try another company. Which one? I looked it up. The capital city still has several small and medium construction companies. They are not large, but they accept new technology more easily. Maybe we can break through there. Fine. Let's try. Over the next half-month, I visited 6 companies. I met 7 project managers and 3 vice presidents. The result was always the same. Either they thought my company was too small and feared risk, or they wanted rebates I could not afford, or they simply refused to see me. The 3-month deadline was approaching. I had not secured a single customer. That night, I dragged my exhausted body back to my rental room. Just as I lay down, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Hello. Who is this? Is this Mr. Ethan Carter? Yes. I'm Manager Warren from Everbuild Construction. Remember me? Of course I remembered him. Manager Warren, what can I do for you? I thought about what you said last time. I think we can discuss it again. Tomorrow, 3 in the afternoon. Same place. Then he hung up. I held my phone, stunned for a long time. Why did he suddenly change his mind? Did the sun rise from the west? Forget it. If he was willing to meet, then there was still a chance. The next afternoon, I went to Everbuild Construction again. This time, Warren's attitude improved greatly. He personally poured me tea. Ethan, last time I was wrong. My words were too harsh. Don't take it to heart. You're too polite, Manager Warren. I was not fully prepared last time. Here's the situation. I reported it to our boss. He thinks your product is indeed good. We can consider trial use. Really? I asked in surprise. But there is one condition. Please say it. For this batch, we trial it for 3 months first. If the results are good, we sign a formal supply contract. During the trial period, payment is deferred. After formal signing, we settle it. I hesitated. A 3-month trial meant I had to advance a large sum of money. Where would I get that money? Manager Warren, this condition. What? Difficult? He smiled. This is an opportunity one worked hard to get for you. If you miss it, there won't be another. I understand. Let me think about it. Fine. Give me an answer within 3 days. Expired means void. After leaving Everbuild Construction, I immediately called Marcus and explained. It's a trap, Marcus said. They're trying to get something for nothing. Once you supply the goods, they can find any excuse not to pay. You won't get a penny. I know, I said. But I have no choice. The 3-month deadline is almost here. I must secure this customer. Otherwise, Mr. Price's investment is gone. What do you plan to do? Gamble. Gamble that they won't cheat? Yes. Are you insane? Maybe. I smiled bitterly. But besides gambling, what else can I do? Fine. I'll gamble with you. Marcus said. I still have some savings, around $30,000. Together with your mother's $45,000, it should cover the cost of the first batch. Thank you, Marcus. Cut the crap. Get to work. The next days, I was so busy my feet barely touched the ground. Factories. Raw materials. Production. Every day, I slept only 4 or 5 hours. I was so tired I could fall asleep standing. A month later, the first batch was delivered on time. Everbuild accepted the goods and signed the delivery receipt. I let out a breath. At least the first step was complete. But what happened next stunned me completely. After the trial period ended, I went to manager Warren and asked when we would sign the formal contract. He denied everything. Sign contract? What contract? Didn't we agree? Trial for 3 months. If results were good, sign. Who agreed? Why don't I remember? Manager Warren, you can't do this. We agreed back then. How can you go back on it? What did I say? Do you have evidence? Only then did I realize how stupid I had been. When we negotiated, I did not record anything. I did not ask him to sign any written agreement. Now that he denied everything, I had no way to fight back. Ethan, it's not that I don't want to help. Our boss said your company is too small and does not meet our supplier standards. Just treat this batch as making friends. Maybe we can cooperate later. As for payment, forget it. You. What? You want to sue me? He sneered. Go ahead. See if the court accepts it. I'm telling you, in this city, Everbuild Construction calls the shots. You're an outsider. You want to fight us? He waved. 2 security guards came over. Escort him out. I was dragged by the guards and thrown out the entrance. My knees hit the ground. Skin split. Blood flowed. I got up and looked at the impressive Everbuild building. My heart was full of anger and humiliation. $750,000 of goods were gone just like that. That was my mother's lifetime savings and everything Marcus had. How could I face them? I wandered the street in a daze, not knowing where to go. My phone kept ringing. It was Marcus. I did not dare answer. I did not know how to tell him. The sky slowly darkened. I wandered aimlessly to the river. Looking at the surging water, a terrifying thought rose in my heart. Maybe I should just jump. End it all. Then I would not have to face anything. At that moment, my phone rang again. Still Marcus. After hesitating, I answered. Hello. Ethan. You finally picked up. Something huge happened. What? I asked weakly. Everbuild Construction is in trouble. What? It's all over the news. One of their developments collapsed. Several people died. Police are investigating. They say it's because they used unqualified construction materials. I froze. What did you say? I said Everbuild Construction is in trouble. Their building collapsed. That manager Warren has already been arrested. They say he took supplier rebates and used substandard materials. The entire company has been sealed. I held the phone and could not speak for a long time. Ethan? Ethan? Are you still there? I'm here. Are you okay? I'm okay. Thank God. Heaven has eyes. That bastard finally got what he deserved. By the way, what about our batch of goods? The goods. What about them? They were sealed too. What? Everbuild's construction site was sealed. All materials were seized. Then our money. Gone. The other end went silent. Marcus, I'm sorry. Forget it. Not your fault. Marcus sighed. There was nothing we could do. What now? I don't know. Maybe, rest for a while. Adjust your mindset, then think of another way. After hanging up, I sat on a bench by the river. Looking at the distant lights, my heart was full of mixed feelings. The 3-month deadline had arrived. I had not secured a single customer. Gordon Price was definitely gone. My mother's retirement money was gone. Marcus's savings were gone. I had become a total failure. Just as I sank into despair, my phone rang again. This time, it was an unfamiliar number. Hello, is this Mr. Ethan Carter? Yes. I'm Mr. Gordon Price's assistant. Mr. Price wants to see you. Tomorrow morning at 10. His office. I froze. Gordon Price wanted to see me? Didn't he say if I failed within 3 months, he would not see me again? May I ask, why does Mr. Price want to see me? I'm not sure. You'll know when you come. Okay. I'll be there. After hanging up, my heart filled with doubt. Why did Gordon want to see me? Did he change his mind? Or did he hear about Everbuild? Either way, this was an opportunity. I had to seize it. The next morning, I arrived at Gordon's office on time. His assistant led me in and poured tea. "Mr. Price is in a meeting. Please wait." "Okay." I waited around 20 minutes before Gordon came in. He seemed in a good mood, smile on his face. "Ethan, long time no see. Mr. Price. Sit." I sat opposite him, feeling nervous. "How have you been lately?" "Fine." "Really?" He smiled. "But I heard things haven't been smooth for you." My heart sank. Sure enough, he knew everything. "Yes, Mr. Price. I failed. I couldn't recover Everbuild's payment. I lost all my principal. Sorry. I failed our agreement. No need to apologize." Gordon waved his hand. "I didn't ask you here to pursue responsibility." "Then. I want to tell you good news." "Good news?" "Yes." He took a document from the drawer and pushed it toward me. "Look at this." I picked it up. It was an investment letter of intent. Amount, $4.5 million. "Mr. Price, this is. I've decided to invest in your project." "Why? Didn't I fail?" "You did." Gordon leaned back. "But you showed me resilience." "Resilience?" "Yes." He said, "Do you know what I did after Everbuild had its accident?" "I investigated. And I found that among all suppliers, your batch of material had the best quality. You were the only one who did not cut corners." "What does that prove?" "It proves you have a bottom line. In business, ability matters. But character matters more. You would rather lose money than use low-quality materials. A person like that is worth investing in." Listening to him, my eyes grew wet. "Thank you, Mr. Price." "Don't thank me. Thank yourself. Your own persistence saved you. Take this letter of intent back and review it. If you have questions, find me anytime. After you think it through, we sign the formal contract." "Okay. Thank you, Mr. Price." I walked out of Gordon's office with the letter of intent. Sunlight fell warmly on me. For the first time in 3 months, I felt the sky was truly blue. With Gordon's investment, my company finally entered the right track. I rented a factory, bought equipment, and hired workers. The product entered mass production. The first order came from a small construction company in the capital city. The quantity was not large, but at least it was the first step. Then came the second. The third. Word of mouth slowly spread. Orders increased. Half a year later, my company became profitable. A year later, annual revenue broke through $7.5 million. My name began to be mentioned in the industry. Some called me a dark horse. Some called me a legend. But I knew this was only the beginning. As for the Whitmore family, during that period, they declined completely. Victor's methods were indeed ruthless. He swallowed most of Whitmore Group's shares and pushed Robert into a dead end. The day Whitmore Group declared bankruptcy, I saw Robert on the news. He had aged a lot. His hair was completely white. His eyes were hollow. Reporters surrounded him and asked sharp questions. He could not say a single word and was helped into a car by bodyguards. Margaret was also taken away for investigation due to suspected economic crimes. Claire sold the villa and cars and moved into an old apartment complex. The woman I once loved had fallen to such a state. To say I did not feel sympathy would be a lie. But I also knew this was their own doing. If they had not been so snobbish, if they had not looked down on others so much, perhaps this ending would not have come. But in this world, there are no ifs. One afternoon, I was reviewing reports in my office when my secretary knocked and entered. "Mr. Carter, a lady outside is looking for you. She says her name is Claire Whitmore." I froze. Why was she here? "Let her in." A few minutes later, Claire walked into my office. She had lost a lot of weight. She wore an ordinary down jacket and no makeup. She looked completely different from the glamorous rich daughter of the past. "Long time no see," I spoke first. "Long time no see." She looked at me with complicated eyes. "You've changed a lot." "Really? How?" "More confident." She said, "The old you was always cautious. Now you look like a real boss. People change." I poured her tea. "Sit." She sat on the sofa, holding the cup with her head lowered. "Ethan, I came today to apologize." "Apologize?" "For what my parents did. And for myself. If we hadn't treated you like that back then, you would not have." "No need." I interrupted her. "Let the past stay in the past." "Do you hate me?" "To say I don't would be a lie." I answered honestly. "At the beginning, I truly hated you. I hated you, your parents, everyone. But later, I figured it out. If not for those experiences, there would be no me today. So strictly speaking, I should thank all of you." Claire lifted her head. Tears shone in her eyes. "You are still so kind." "It's not kindness. It's release." I said, "Hating someone is too tiring. I don't want to trap myself in the past." "Then, can you forgive me?" "I already have." I said, "Claire, let's both look forward." She nodded and wiped her tears. "I heard your company is doing well." "Not bad. Just getting started." "Congratulations." "Thank you." After a moment of silence, she spoke again. "Ethan, I want to ask you for something." "What is it?" "Can you help my father? His health is very bad. He needs hospitalization. But I have no money. I can't pay the medical bills. I know I have no right to ask you, but I really have no other way." Looking at her, I felt uncomfortable. Claire Whitmore had once been such a proud woman. Now she was lowering her voice for medical expenses. "How much do you need?" "About $30,000. I'll have someone transfer it to your account tomorrow." "Really?" She looked at me in disbelief. "Really? Thank you, Ethan. Truly, thank you." "No need." I said, "Take it as repayment for the good you once gave me. Although that bit of good cannot outweigh the harm that came later. At least once, we truly loved each other." After Claire left, I sat alone in the office and stared out the window. The sky outside was gray, as if rain would fall. My mind kept turning over the past. To be honest, when I said I had forgiven her, it was true. But to say there was no knot in my heart would be a lie too. Some scars, even after healing, still ache when the weather changes. My phone vibrated. Marcus sent a message. "I heard Claire came to see you." What did she want?" "To borrow money. For her father's treatment." "You lent it?" "Yes. 30,000. The other end was silent for a few seconds. Then Marcus exploded. "Ethan Carter, are you out of your mind? Have you forgotten how her family treated you?" "I haven't." "Then why the hell did you lend her money?" "Her father is sick. He needs treatment." "What does that have to do with you? If he hadn't forced you back then, would you have been so miserable?" "Marcus, I know you're saying this for my good. But a person cannot be too heartless. She was my ex-wife. Her father was once my father-in-law. They were wrong. But they don't deserve death." Fine. I can't argue with you." Marcus sighed. "Just keep your boundaries. Don't be kind and get burned again." "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing." After hanging up, I leaned back and rubbed my temples. Actually, Marcus was right. I should not have gotten involved. But for some reason, seeing Claire so fallen made my heart soften. Maybe because she was once the person I loved most. Feelings cannot be cut cleanly just because you say so. Even if the wound scabs over, the scar remains. The next morning, I had finance transfer $37,500 into Claire's account. The extra $7,500 was for emergency use. After the transfer record was sent, she replied with a long message. "Mostly thanks." She said she owed me in this life and would repay me in the next. I glanced at it and did not reply. Some things, once past, are past. There is no need to entangle again. Days went by. The company's business grew better and better. Gordon added another $3 million in investment, saying he was optimistic about our future. With that money, I expanded the factory, added production lines, and recruited several technical backbones from the provincial university to form an R&D team. Everything was moving in a good direction. But at that time, an unexpected person appeared. That afternoon, I had just returned to my office after a meeting when my secretary said a man surnamed Chen was looking for me. He had been waiting in the reception room for half an hour. Chen? My heart sank. Victor Chen? When I walked into the reception room, it was indeed him. He sat on the sofa with one leg crossed, holding a cup of coffee. More than a year had passed, but he did not look much different. Still spirited. Still in an expensive suit. Still full of presence. The only difference was that the aggressive aura he once had faded. In its place was an indescribable fatigue. "Mr. Carter, long time no see." He stood and extended his hand. "Mr. Chen, rare guest." I shook his hand. "What wind blew you here? One does not visit without a reason." He smiled. "I came today to discuss business." What business? I want to acquire your company. He said it directly, without turning around. I froze, then laughed. Mr. Chen, are you joking? Do I look like I'm joking? He looked at me seriously. I'm serious. Ethan, your company is valued at around $15 million right now. I am willing to offer $18 million for a full acquisition. With that money, you can do whatever you want. Why work so hard guarding this small company? Sorry. I'm not selling. Why? He frowned. Is the price too low? We can discuss. $22.5 million. That is my bottom line. It's not about money. I said, this company is my life's work. I will not sell it to anyone. Especially not you. I said the final sentence heavily. Victor's expression shifted. Ethan, I know you hate me. But in business, there are no eternal enemies. Only eternal interests. Why give up such a good opportunity because of old grudges? Mr. Chen, you are right. In business, there truly are no eternal enemies. But to me, some things matter more than profit. Such as dignity. When you forced me to leave the Whitmore family, did you think this day would come? Now the Whitmore family has fallen, and you come to acquire my company. Do you think the whole world must revolve around you? Victor fell silent. A complex emotion flashed in his eyes. Ethan, you misunderstand. Misunderstand? What did I misunderstand? When I forced you to leave the Whitmore family, it was not to humiliate you. It was to give you a chance. To give me a chance? I could not help laughing. You drove me out of the Whitmore family and left me with nothing. You call that giving me a chance? Yes. He was very serious. If you had continued staying with the Whitmores, you would forever be that useless live-in son-in-law. Your talent and ambition would have been buried. Only by leaving the Whitmore family could you truly display your ability. Facts prove I was right. Look at you now. How many times stronger are you than when you were with them? I froze. I had not expected him to say such words. So, I should thank you. No need. I only made the choice a businessman should make. I saw that you were uncut jade. You needed grinding before you could shine. And the Whitmore family was that whetstone. Now that you have been polished, naturally I am here to harvest the result. That is business logic. I looked at him and suddenly felt this man was terrifying. Everything he did carried calculation. Even humiliating you could be part of his future plan. Mr. Chen, you are very smart. But you forgot one thing. What? I am not your chess piece. I have my own thoughts and my own choices. I will not sell my company. And I do not accept your so-called kindness. From now on, bridge returns to bridge, road returns to road. You walk your broad road. I walk my narrow one. Victor stared at me for a long time. Finally, he stood and patted my shoulder. Ethan, you will regret this. Maybe. I said, but at least right now, I do not regret it. He left. I stood by the window and watched him get into a black Mercedes, disappearing into traffic. An indescribable satisfaction rose in my chest. More than a year ago, he had been the lofty Mr. Chen, and I had been the live-in son-in-law thrown out of a rich family. Now, I could finally speak to him as an equal. That feeling was wonderful. But I knew things were not that simple. Victor Chen always got what he wanted. Since he had set his eyes on my company, he would not let go easily. I had to prepare. Sure enough, trouble arrived a few days later. First, the Business Administration Bureau came to inspect us, saying someone reported illegal production. Then the Tax Bureau came, saying they needed to review our accounts. Then the Fire Department came, saying our factory had safety risks and required production suspension for rectification. Wave after wave. I was overwhelmed. Marcus cursed furiously. It has to be that bastard Victor Chen. He's forcing you to surrender. I know. I said, but without evidence, we can't do anything. Then what? We can't continue like this. If production stops, orders can't be delivered. How do we explain to clients? I'll think of something. I picked up the phone and called Gordon Price. When I pulled up his number, I hesitated. To be honest, I did not want to trouble him for everything. He was my investor, not my nanny. But under the circumstances, I truly needed his help. The call connected. Gordon's voice sounded steady. Ethan, what is it? Mr. Price, I've run into some trouble. I explained briefly. After listening, Gordon was silent for a few seconds. You suspect Victor Chen did it? Almost certain. Why is he targeting you? He wants to acquire my company. I refused. So that's it. Gordon laughed. That kid is still as overbearing as ever. Mr. Price, you know him? More than know him. We are old rivals. Years ago, he competed with me for a project. I took it from him. Since then, he has held a grudge. This time, if he's targeting you, part of it is probably because of me. He wants to suppress you to disgust me. I suddenly understood. Victor was targeting me not only because of my company, but also because Gordon had invested in me. He wanted to take revenge against Gordon, so he used me as a target. Mr. Price, what now? Don't worry. I'll handle this. Your network in the capital city is not deep enough. You can't fight him yet. I'll make a few calls and help you settle those inspections first. As for the rest, we plan slowly. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Price. After hanging up, my heart settled a little. With Gordon stepping in, the inspection trouble should be resolved. But I knew it was only temporary. Victor would not give up. I had to find a way to solve the problem at its root. That night, I lost sleep. Lying in bed, my mind was filled with chaotic thoughts. I remembered my days in the Whitmore family. Those mocking eyes. Those cutting words. The heart-tearing pain of being driven out. Now that I had finally crawled out, Victor Chen stood in my way again. Was I destined to be stepped on my whole life? No. I refused. I had to find a way to defeat Victor completely. Make him taste failure too. The next morning, I called Marcus. Marcus, help me investigate something. What? Victor Chen's funding source. I've always wondered. An orphan like him, where did he get so much money to start a business? Someone must be supporting him. If we find out who, we find his lifeline. Got it. I'll investigate. Marcus was efficient. 3 days later, he brought shocking news. Ethan, guess what I found? Stop teasing. Say it. Victor Chen's backer is the Falcon family. The Falcon family? I froze. The Falcon family was very low-key in the capital city and rarely appeared in public. But their strength was unfathomable. Rumor said their assets were worth more than the top 10 local companies combined. They had interests across real estate, finance, energy, high-tech. Almost every field had their shadow. They simply stayed low-profile and never flaunted. Many people knew the Whitmore family and the Price family. Few knew the true ruler was the Falcon family. How did Victor get involved with them? I don't know the details. Marcus said, but I found one clue. Victor's adoptive parents seem connected to the Falcon family. His adoptive father's surname is Falcon? Yes. Samuel Falcon. Samuel Falcon? I repeated the name. Why have I never heard of him? Because he's from a side branch of the Falcon family. His position is not high. He mainly handles marginal business for the family. No real authority. But he is still a Falcon. With that identity, Victor can borrow the family's power. So that's it. I leaned back and fell into thought. If Victor's backer was truly the Falcon family, things were troublesome. The Falcon family was too powerful. Even Gordon Price would not dare offend them easily. No wonder Victor was so arrogant. He had something to rely on. Ethan, maybe, we should let it go. If we can't fight them, we can hide. Sell the company, take the money, and start over elsewhere. No. I said firmly. I cannot admit defeat like this. How do you fight the Falcon family? Not necessarily fight them. I said, as long as we find the Falcon family's weakness, we can restrain Victor. Their weakness? What weakness would they have? I don't know. I rubbed my temples. But I can go find someone. Who? Samuel Falcon. Why him? I want to know why he adopted Victor. There must be a story behind this. Maybe that story is Victor's fatal weakness. Marcus fell silent. After a while, he spoke. Ethan, do you really want to do this? If you anger the Falcon family, the consequences could be unimaginable. I know. But I have no retreat. Victor will not let me go. Even if I sell him the company, he will find another way to crush me. Instead of waiting to die, I might as well strike first. Fine. I support you. Marcus said, but you must be careful. No one in the Falcon family is easy to handle. Don't worry. I'll be careful. After hanging up, I began investigating Samuel Falcon. He was very low profile. Almost no information could be found online. I could only ask through old connections. Hard work paid off. A week later, I finally obtained his file. Samuel Falcon was 65. He was cousin to the current Falcon family head, Richard Falcon. When young, he had been capable and had helped manage many Falcon family businesses. But later, because of an accident, he lost Richard's trust. From then on, he was pushed to the margins and only handled unimportant work. His wife, Linda, was an ordinary housewife. They had only one adopted son, Victor Chen. The file also mentioned something. 20 years ago, Samuel had been a guest professor at the provincial university. He taught economics. That year, Victor was studying at the same university. In other words, Samuel met Victor at the university, then adopted him. The logic did not make sense. Why would a man marginalized by his own family suddenly adopt an orphan and support him with everything, helping him start a business? There had to be hidden truth. I decided to meet Samuel. After asking around, I learned that every Wednesday afternoon, Samuel went to a tea house in the south of the city. The place was remote, hidden in an old alley. Ordinary people would never find it. On Wednesday afternoon, I arrived early. The tea house was small, with only a few tables. The owner was an old man in his 60s and seemed familiar with Samuel. I ordered Iron Goddess tea and sat by the window. After about half an hour, an old man walked in. He wore a gray traditional jacket. His hair was white. He wore reading glasses. Though old, his back was straight and his steps energetic. That had to be Samuel Falcon. He greeted the owner and sat at a table in the corner. The owner brought him a pot of dragon well and a plate of peanuts. He sat there alone, slowly drinking tea and looking outside. I observed him for a while, then stood and walked over. "Mr. Falcon, hello." He looked up at me, alertness in his eyes. "Who are you? Do we know each other?" "My name is Ethan Carter. I'm a friend of Victor Chen." At Victor's name, his brow tightened. "A friend of Victor? Why haven't I seen you? We only met recently." I sat opposite him. "Mr. Falcon, I want to talk to you about Victor." "What about him?" "His background." Samuel's expression changed. He set down his cup and stared at me for a long time. "Who exactly are you? What do you want?" "Mr. Falcon, don't be nervous." I tried to sound calm. "I have no ill intent. I only want to know why you adopted Victor back then." "What does that have to do with you?" "A lot." I said, "Victor is currently forcing me. He wants to acquire my company. I refused, so he used connections to suppress me. I want to know what kind of person he truly is. Only then can I find a way to deal with him." Samuel fell silent. He lifted his teacup, took a sip, then set it down again. After a long while, he spoke. "Ethan, do you know? Some things are better not known." "Maybe." I said, "but I have already reached this point. There is no road back. I only want the truth." Samuel looked at me. A complex emotion flashed in his eyes. "Fine. Since you want to know so much, I'll tell you. But you must promise me one thing." "Say it." "This matter stays between you and me. Do not let a third person know. Especially not Victor." "Why?" "Because if he learns I told you, he will kill me." My heart shook. What kind of secret could make Samuel so afraid? "I promise. I will not spread it." Samuel nodded and began telling the long-buried past. 20 years ago, Samuel was a guest professor at the provincial university. One day, he met a boy on campus. The boy was crouched by the roadside, holding his knees and crying hard. Samuel walked over and asked what happened. The boy lifted his tear-streaked face and said he was an orphan. No one wanted him. Samuel softened and brought him home. That boy was Victor Chen. Samuel said he adopted Victor because he saw his younger self in the boy. Both had been abandoned. Both had been lonely. He wanted to give the boy a home so he would not suffer as Samuel had suffered. But later, Samuel realized he was wrong. Victor's nature was far more complicated than he imagined. He was smart, hardworking, and ambitious. But also cold, selfish, and unscrupulous. To achieve his goals, he could sacrifice anyone, including Samuel. Once, in order to win a project, he sold out an old friend of mine. That friend had helped me many times. Victor ruined him until he lost everything. I asked him why he did it. He said business is war, and in war either you die or I do. From that day, I knew I had raised an ungrateful wolf. Samuel's voice choked as he spoke. But I had no retreat. His power grew larger and larger. His position in the Falcon family also rose. If I exposed his secrets, he would definitely take revenge. I am old now. I only want to spend my remaining years peacefully. I don't want to get involved in right and wrong anymore. After hearing Samuel's story, my heart could not settle. Victor's past was even more tragic than mine. But he chose a different road. He was swallowed by hatred and ambition, turning into a cold and ruthless man. I had also endured hardship, but I still kept kindness in my heart. Perhaps that was the biggest difference between us. Mr. Falcon, thank you for telling me. No need. Samuel waved his hand. Ethan, let me advise you. If you can, stay far away from Victor. He is not someone you can handle. I know. I said, but some things cannot be avoided just because I want to avoid them. He has already set his eyes on me. Even if I run to the ends of the earth, he won't let me go. If that is the case, I might as well face him. Samuel looked at me and sighed. Young man, courage is good. But sometimes courage cannot solve problems. You need wisdom. Patience. Victor's greatest weakness is arrogance. He thinks he can do anything and no one can touch him. But the more arrogant a person is, the easier it is for him to make mistakes. If you catch his flaw, you can strike fatally. I understand. I stood. Mr. Falcon, thank you for your advice. No need. He lifted his cup. Good luck. When I walked out of the tea house, the sky was nearly dark. The alley was quiet. Only distant dog barks sounded. As I walked over the stone path, Samuel's words kept replaying in my mind. Victor's weakness was arrogance. He trusted his own ability too much and believed everything was under his control. That personality made him underestimate his opponents. And underestimating an opponent is the biggest flaw. I had to use that. Set a trap for him. A trap he could never imagine. Back at the company, I called Marcus over and told him everything Samuel had said. Marcus widened his eyes. Damn. Victor has that kind of history? No wonder he's so ruthless. Childhood trauma. But this gives us a chance. What chance? Think about it. He's so arrogant. He must believe we don't dare fight back. If we suddenly strike, he will be caught off guard. Yes. That's what I think. I said, so I plan to set a trap for him. What trap? Pretend to compromise. Pretend? Yes. Doesn't he want to acquire my company? Then I'll pretend to agree and negotiate with him. Then at the critical moment, I back out. Let him taste what it feels like to be played. But that will completely offend him. He's already offended. One more time doesn't matter. I said, besides, I have a bigger plan. What plan? I want to expose his scandal to the public. What scandal? The matter of him destroying Samuel's old friend. Although it happened many years ago, if exposed, it will be a major blow to his reputation. At that time, he will be busy saving himself. How can he still have energy to deal with me? Marcus's eyes lit up. Good idea. But do you have evidence? No. I said, so we need to find evidence. Where? Find the man he ruined. Do you know who he is? Samuel mentioned him briefly. His surname was Mason, and he was in import-export trade. He used to be a figure in the capital city, but Victor destroyed him. If we can find him and make him testify against Victor, there is a chance. Fine. I'll investigate. Marcus turned to leave. Wait. I stopped him. This must be kept secret. Other than you and me, no third person can know. Don't worry. I know. After Marcus left, I sat alone in the office. Looking at the night outside, strange excitement rose inside me. This war was finally about to begin. I did not know how it would end. But I knew I had no retreat. Only forward. Never back. 3 days later, Marcus brought news. The man named Mason had been found. His name was Richard Mason. Back then, he had been the largest import-export trader in the capital city. Net worth over $15 million. Glorious and successful. But later, in one business deal, Victor set a trap for him. Not only did he lose all his wealth, he also fell deep into debt. His wife divorced him. His child refused to recognize him. Now he lived in a shantytown outside the city, surviving on odd jobs. I decided to meet him. That afternoon, Marcus and I drove to the shantytown. The houses were old and broken. Roads were uneven and full of potholes. Garbage and sewage were everywhere. A foul smell filled the air. We found where Richard Mason lived. It was a shack made of sheet metal. The door was half open. I knocked. A hoarse voice came from inside. "Who is it? Are you Mr. Richard Mason?" The door opened. A man appeared. He looked over 60, though his actual age was probably just over 50. Messy hair. Unshaven beard. Face full of wrinkles. Dirty work clothes covered in oil stains. This was Richard Mason. The once glorious millionaire had fallen to this state. "Who are you?" he asked warily. "Mr. Mason, my name is Ethan Carter. I came to help you." "Help me?" he sneered. "Help me with what?" "Help you take revenge." His expression changed. "What revenge? I don't know what you're talking about." "Mr. Mason, don't pretend." I said, "I know Victor Chen destroyed you. I also know you've held your anger all these years. Now there is a chance to avenge yourself. It depends on whether you want it." Richard fell silent. He looked at me, eyes full of complicated emotion. After a long while, he finally spoke. "Come in." The shack was very simple. Only a bed, a table, and several chairs. Empty liquor bottles sat on the table. Cigarette butts were all over the floor. Richard poured us water, then sat on the bed. "How do you know about me?" "I met Samuel Falcon." "Samuel Falcon?" He froze. "He's still alive?" "He is. But not doing well." "Humph. He deserves it." Richard gritted his teeth. "If he had not adopted that beast, I would not be what I am today." "Mr. Mason, I know you hate Victor. But hatred alone is useless. We need evidence." "What evidence?" "Evidence proving Victor framed you back then. As long as we have evidence, I can ruin him." Richard looked at me for a long time. Then he stood and went to a cabinet in the corner. He pulled out an iron box and opened it. Inside were documents and a USB drive. "These are all the evidence I collected back then. Recordings. Photos. Transfer records. Every one of them proves Victor deliberately framed me. I originally wanted to report him, but his power was too great. No one dared investigate him. I kept these things all these years, waiting for an opportunity. Now that opportunity has finally come." He held the box out to me. "Ethan, I'll give you these. You must avenge me." I accepted the iron box and nodded solemnly. "Mr. Mason, don't worry. I will make Victor pay." When we left Richard's place, the sky was already dark. I held the iron box and felt it weighed 1,000 pounds. Inside was not only evidence. It was the hope of Richard Mason's entire life. Back at the company, Marcus and I sorted the evidence all night. The recording clearly captured Victor's conversation with Richard. Victor had used a despicable method to trick Richard into signing a contract. Then he used a loophole in that contract to sue Richard. In the photos, Victor met privately with a judge. The transfer records showed Victor had paid that judge a large sum. Once this evidence became public, Victor would be finished. That judge would be finished too. Perfect. Marcus slapped the table excitedly. "With this evidence, Victor is dead. Don't celebrate too early." I said, "The evidence is powerful, but we need the right time to release it." "When is the right time?" "When he is most proud." "What do you mean?" "I want him to taste victory first. Then drag him from heaven into hell. Only then will he understand real despair." Marcus looked at me. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. "Ethan, you've changed." "Changed how?" "You've become more ruthless." "It's not that I became ruthless." I said, "The world taught me something. Being merciful to enemies is being cruel to yourself. Since he chose this road, I'll walk it with him to the end." Over the next days, I began carrying out my plan. First, I released word that I was willing to sell the company. The price could be discussed. Once the news spread, Victor quickly came to me. He asked to meet at Peninsula Coffee. The same seat as before. "Mr. Carter, I heard you changed your mind." He smiled at me. "Yes. I thought it through. I pretended to look helpless." "You were right. In business, there are no eternal enemies. Only eternal interests. Instead of continuing to fight you, I might as well take the money and leave. A wise man knows the times." Victor nodded in satisfaction. "Name your price." $27 million. "Too high." He shook his head. "Your company isn't worth that." "Whether it's worth it, you know in your heart. I said, my technology. My team. My customer resources. All together, they are absolutely worth that price. Besides, haven't you always wanted to acquire my company? If you want it, show sincerity. Victor thought for a while. 22.5 million. That is my bottom line. Deal. I agreed without hesitation. Good. Victor extended his hand. Pleasure doing business. I shook his hand. Inside, I sneered. Pleasure? Not necessarily. Next came the long negotiation process. Victor sent his legal team to discuss every contract detail with me. I deliberately tangled over insignificant issues. Dragging time. Creating the illusion. Making him believe I cared deeply about the deal. In reality, I was waiting. Waiting for the moment that would break him completely. Finally, the contract was ready. The signing ceremony was scheduled for Friday afternoon in Victor's office. That day, I wore a brand new suit and arrived 10 minutes early. Victor's office was enormous and luxuriously decorated. A valuable oil painting hung on the wall. He sat behind the desk, holding a glass of red wine. "Mr. Carter, please sit." I sat across from him. His secretary poured me tea. "Is the contract ready?" I asked. "Ready." He had his lawyer bring it over. "Take a look. See if there are any issues." I accepted the contract and pretended to read carefully. In truth, I did not read it. Because I knew this contract would never take effect. "No problem." I set the contract on the table. "We can sign." "Good." Victor picked up his pen. Just as he was about to sign, I stopped him. "Wait. What is it?" "Mr. Chen, before signing, I want you to see something." "What?" I took a tablet from my briefcase and played a recording. Victor's voice came clearly from inside. "Mr. Mason, as long as you sign this contract, I guarantee you will make a fortune." "Really?" "Of course. When has Victor Chen ever lied?" "Fine. I'll sign." There was the sound of pages turning. Then Victor's smug laughter. "Mr. Mason, you fell for it. There is a hidden clause in this contract. Once you sign, you are finished. You. Ha ha ha." The recording ended. Victor's face turned deathly pale. The pen in his hand dropped to the floor. "You, how do you have this? That is not something you need to know." I put the tablet away. "Mr. Chen, tell me. If I make this recording public, what happens?" Cold sweat appeared on Victor's forehead. "Ethan Carter, you played me?" "Same to you." I stood. "Mr. Chen, didn't you want to acquire my company? Good. Let's make a deal." "What deal?" "You give up acquiring my company and guarantee you will never trouble me again. And I destroy the evidence. Otherwise, I hand everything to the media. When that happens, your reputation will be rotten. Your career, your future, everything will be destroyed." Victor stared at me, eyes full of rage and unwillingness. His fists tightened so hard his knuckles turned white. "Ethan Carter, you think this can threaten me? You can try." I smiled. "I'm barefoot. I'm not afraid of the one wearing shoes. At worst, we both die together." We looked at each other. Neither of us stepped back. The office was frighteningly quiet. Only the clock on the wall ticked. After a long time, Victor finally loosened his fists. He slumped back in his chair and let out a long sigh. "You win." "I agree. I'll give up acquiring your company. I won't trouble you again. But you must destroy all that evidence." "No problem." I said, "After I confirm you won't play tricks again, I'll naturally destroy it." "Ethan, don't go too far. Mr. Chen, you went too far first." I said, "I'm only giving you a taste of your own medicine. If you stay honest, I guarantee this evidence will never see the light. But if you try anything else, don't blame me for being ruthless." After saying that, I picked up the contract on the table and tore it in half. "Goodbye, Mr. Chen. I hope we never meet again." I turned and walked out of the office. Behind me came the sound of Victor smashing things. Outside the building, the sunlight was blinding. I took a deep breath. My whole body felt light. This battle was finally won. Though luck played a role, I had won. Back in the car, I called Marcus. "It's done." "Really? Amazing." Marcus shouted excitedly. "We have to celebrate tonight." "Fine. My treat." After hanging up, I started the car and drove into the distance. The sunset spread golden light across the windshield. Looking at the road ahead, my heart filled with hope. The future was still long. But I believed that as long as I persevered, one day I would stand higher. High enough to look down on those who had once looked down on me. Those humiliating days would become fuel for my progress. Never forget. Never give up. Days passed. My company developed better and better. After that confrontation, Victor truly stopped troubling me. Maybe he feared the evidence in my hands. Maybe he felt I was no longer worth entangling with. Either way, he disappeared. The business circle of the capital city gradually forgot his name. Some said he went abroad. Some said he returned to the Falcon family. Some said he had gone bankrupt. There were all kinds of rumors. No one knew the truth. I did not care. Because I had more important things to do. The company expanded. Employees grew from a dozen at the beginning to over 100. Our product expanded from a single energy-saving material into an entire green building system. We won several major projects, including the tallest landmark building in the capital city. That project made my company famous in one battle. Gordon was increasingly satisfied with me and invested another $7.5 million. He even offered to introduce me to his friends. Ethan, your achievements have exceeded my expectations. I think you should go out and meet more people. It will help your future development. Thank you, Mr. Price. I said respectfully. I'll follow your arrangements. Under Gordon's arrangement, I began attending various high-end social events. Charity dinners. Chamber of Commerce gatherings. Golf tournaments. Events I had once only seen on television. Now, I became one of the people inside them. The way people looked at me also changed. At first, curiosity. Later, respect. At one charity auction, I met an old acquaintance. Claire Whitmore. She wore a simple black dress and stood in a corner holding a glass of juice. Compared with the last time we met, her complexion looked a little better. But she was still much more haggard than before. After hesitating, I walked over. Long time no see. She looked up and froze when she saw me. Long time no see. How have you been? Not bad. She smiled faintly. My father's illness is much better. He's already out of the hospital. That's good. And you? I heard your company is very successful. It's fine. Just getting started. You're too modest. She said, I saw the news. You won the capital city landmark project. That's truly impressive. Thank you. After a moment of silence, she spoke again. Ethan, I will pay back the money from last time. No need. I said, I gave it willingly. No need to repay. No. I must repay it. She was stubborn. I don't want to owe you. Suit yourself. I did not want to argue. How is your mother? Her expression dimmed. Still inside. She may be sentenced to several years. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with you. She shook her head. She made mistakes. She should bear the consequences. We fell silent again. The atmosphere was awkward. Well, I'll go first. She said. My friend is waiting. Okay. Goodbye. Goodbye. She turned and walked a few steps. Then stopped and looked back at me. Ethan, thank you. For what? Thank you for treating me so well back then. And thank you for helping me when I was at my lowest. I owe you more than I can repay in this life. If there is a next life, I'll repay you then. After saying that, she quickly left. I stood where I was and watched her disappear into the crowd. My heart filled with emotion. The woman who had once been so proud had become this humble. Fate truly plays with people. After the charity auction ended, I drove home. When I passed a familiar street, I stopped the car. It was the road where the Whitmore villa stood. I lowered the window and looked at the house I had lived in for 5 years. Now it was empty. The gate closed. Weeds filled the yard. A court seal was posted on the door. Everything was over. That place that had once given me endless humiliation had now become a ruin. And I had gone from a despised live-in son-in-law to an entrepreneur worth millions. Life truly is dramatic. I raised the window, started the car, and left that street. Let the past stay in the past. People must look forward. In the blink of an eye, another year passed. My company successfully went public. Its market value surpassed $750 million. I became the youngest listed company founder in the capital city. Major media outlets rushed to report on me. Some called me a business genius. Some called me a model of grassroots comeback. But only I knew how hard this road had been. The sleepless nights. The sweat. The humiliation. All of it became nutrients for my growth. They made me stronger. More mature. On listing day, I stood on stage and gave a speech. Looking at the dense crowd below, an indescribable excitement surged inside me. Thank you to every guest present. Thank you to my team. Thank you to everyone who supported me. Without all of you, there would be no me today. I will continue working hard and lead this company toward an even brighter future. Thunderous applause filled the room. I bowed and walked off stage. Gordon came over and patted my shoulder. Ethan, well done. Thank you for guiding me, Mr. Price. Don't call me Mr. Price anymore. He smiled. Call me Uncle Gordon. If you need anything in the future, just ask. Okay, Uncle Gordon. That night, I stood alone on the hotel balcony. Looking at the city lights, my heart filled with emotion. My phone vibrated. A text message. Unknown number. I opened it. Only one line. Ethan Carter, congratulations. No signature. But I knew who sent it. Victor Chen. I smiled and deleted the message. Then I turned and returned to the banquet hall, continuing to enjoy the glory that belonged to me. Those who had once looked down on me could now only look up at me. And those who had once hurt me had paid the price they deserved. This is life. There are valleys. And there are peaks. There is darkness. And there is light. As long as you do not give up, one day, you will stand at the highest place, looking down on everyone below. That's all for today's story. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment.